Welcome to Truth Report, the show that pulls back the curtain on the hidden narratives shaping our world. Tonight, we're dissecting the silent battles being waged for influence, information, and the future of corporate responsibility. From the quiet diplomacy of a space entrepreneur to the perilous fight for journalistic integrity and the public spectacle of a tech titan, the threads of power, control, and accountability run deep.
Indeed, Alex. We're unearthing stories that reveal how individuals challenge established systems, how corporations navigate public scrutiny, and how governments manipulate truth. Tonight, we expose the mechanisms of power that often operate in the shadows, dictating scientific progress, free speech, and the very ethics of leadership.
We begin with the passing of a remarkable American, a man who dedicated his life to forging connections where official channels dared not tread. His story is a testament to the power of citizen diplomacy in an era of increasing geopolitical tension, particularly between the United States and China.
Then, we turn our gaze to China itself, where the very act of reporting truth can carry a devastating price. Two investigative journalists, courageous in their pursuit of accountability, faced the stark reality of a system designed to silence dissent, even when exposing clear corruption within the Communist Party.
And finally, we dive into the chaotic public persona of one of the world's most influential CEOs. As his company grapples with market challenges, his online antics draw sharp criticism, raising critical questions about corporate leadership, investor trust, and the responsibility that comes with immense power.
These aren't just isolated incidents. They are vital pieces of a larger mosaic, revealing how corporate interests, state power, and individual integrity collide. Join us as we connect these dots, expose the patterns, and reveal the deeper implications for us all.
Our first story takes us to the cutting edge of human endeavor, and the quiet passing of a man whose vision transcended national borders. Steve Durst, a U.S. space entrepreneur, passed away recently at the age of 82. His legacy, however, is anything but quiet, built on decades of persistent efforts to bridge the vast divide between the U.S. and Chinese space sectors.
According to the South China Morning Post, Durst was a true pioneer, founding the non-profit International Lunar Observatory Association, or ILOA. This wasn't just about stargazing, it was about fostering cooperation in space exploration, a field often seen as a battleground for geopolitical supremacy, not a stage for collaboration.
Durst's efforts were particularly remarkable because they unfolded against a backdrop of stringent U.S. restrictions on official cooperation with China's space program. These policies, often citing national security concerns and fears of technology transfer, have created deep chasms between the two largest spacefaring nations.
Yet, Durst, a citizen diplomat of the highest order, managed to cultivate relationships and share knowledge. The SCMP highlights that as early as 1980, when China's human spaceflight ambitions were largely unknown to the outside world, Durst was already publishing insights on their astronaut training programs. That's nearly half a century of dedicated, unofficial diplomacy.
Think about that, Maya. While governments erected barriers, Durst was building bridges, one conversation, one published paper, one workshop at a time. His work with ILOA wasn't just academic, it was an active attempt to find common ground in humanity's shared quest for understanding the cosmos, often circumventing political obstacles.
This raises critical questions about who truly benefits from such unofficial diplomacy. On one hand, the global scientific community gains immensely from shared knowledge and collaboration, accelerating progress that ultimately benefits all of humankind. Durst facilitated this, defying political headwinds.
However, official Washington has long viewed such engagement with skepticism, fearing that any collaboration could inadvertently bolster China's technological capabilities, which might then be applied to military uses. From this perspective, Durst's efforts, while well-intentioned, could be seen as undermining strategic national interests.
But who truly loses from this official freeze? It's not just the scientists. It's potentially the pace of innovation, the global understanding of space, and even the future of humanity's expansion beyond Earth. Durst's death underscores the fragility of these unofficial channels, which often rely on the singular vision and dedication of individuals.
His passing leaves a void that will be difficult to fill. The official rhetoric from both sides continues to emphasize competition, even conflict, in space. Durst's life was a powerful counternarrative, suggesting that shared scientific goals could, and perhaps should, transcend terrestrial politics.
This narrative highlights a broader power structure, the tension between national security imperatives and the universal pursuit of knowledge. Governments often prioritize geopolitical advantage, seeing space as another domain for strategic competition, while individuals like Durst champion a more collaborative, humanity-first approach.
In a world where space is increasingly privatized and weaponized, Durst's decades-long commitment to open, international scientific exchange stands as a profound challenge to the dominant narrative. His legacy compels us to ask, is it corporate interests or the pursuit of universal knowledge that should truly define our reach for the stars?
From the boundless expanse of space, we now turn to the constrained reality of press freedom within China. Our next story highlights the precarious existence of investigative journalists who dare to expose corruption within the Communist Party, even as the party itself claims to be tackling such issues.
Two Chinese investigative journalists, Liu Hu and Wu Yingjiao, were recently released on bail in Sichuan province, after being detained earlier this month. Their crime? Accusing a local Communist Party official of corruption. This isn't just a news item, it's a stark reminder of the immense personal risk involved in reporting truth in China.
The South China Morning Post reported that Liu Hu, a 50-year-old veteran investigative reporter, and his 34-year-old colleague, Wu Yingjiao, were taken into custody on February 2. The official charges were chillingly familiar: making false accusations and conducting illegal business operations. These are common legal tools used to silence critics.
This incident follows an article these journalists posted last month, presumably detailing their corruption allegations. The speed and severity of the official response speak volumes about the party's sensitivity to public exposure of wrongdoing, particularly when it emanates from independent media, however rare that may be.
Liu Hu, in particular, has a history of facing state retribution for his work. He was previously detained in 2013 on similar charges after exposing corruption, which signals a pattern. This isn't merely an isolated targeting of individuals, it's a systemic approach to control the narrative and suppress any challenge to official authority.
The act of releasing them on bail, pending further investigation, is a double-edged sword. While it's a temporary reprieve from detention, it leaves them in a state of legal limbo, with the threat of rearrest and prosecution hanging over their heads. It's a psychological tactic designed to induce self-censorship and deter others.
So, who benefits from the detention and continued intimidation of journalists like Liu Hu and Wu Yingjiao? Clearly, the corrupt officials they sought to expose gain immediate protection and continued impunity. The Communist Party, as an institution, benefits from maintaining a tight grip on information and preventing public scrutiny.
The public, however, suffers immensely. Without courageous journalists willing to risk their freedom, corruption flourishes unchecked. Resources are siphoned off, public trust erodes, and the fundamental right to information is denied. This creates a system where accountability is an illusion, not a reality.
This episode highlights a deeply entrenched power structure, the authoritarian state's absolute control over information and its use of the legal system as a weapon against dissent. The charges of false accusations and illegal business operations are vague and easily manipulated, serving as convenient pretexts for political suppression.
It's a chilling reminder that in China, the line between legitimate reporting and criminal activity is drawn not by journalistic ethics, but by the Communist Party's tolerance for criticism. Corporate wrongdoing, too, often goes unexposed when the media is so effectively muzzled, creating an environment ripe for exploitation.
The global implications are significant. As China's economic and political influence grows, the suppression of internal dissent and the lack of transparent reporting have far-reaching consequences for international businesses operating there, and for global standards of human rights and press freedom.
Now, let's shift our focus to the highly visible, often volatile world of corporate leadership, specifically, the actions of one of the planet's most influential CEOs. We're talking about Elon Musk, the driving force behind Tesla, whose recent online behavior has drawn sharp criticism from industry watchers.
According to CleanTechnica, a prominent voice in the clean energy and EV sector, Tesla's CEO should stop flinging poop and start selling more Tesla EVs, stat. This isn't just a casual jab. It's a pointed critique suggesting Musk's online antics are actively harming his company's core business objectives.
The article highlights that while Tesla EV sales are currently floundering, a term that signals significant market challenges, Musk has been engaging in epic online poop flinging against a leading Democratic donor. This juxtaposition paints a picture of a leader distracted from his primary corporate responsibilities.
This isn't an isolated incident for Musk, whose social media presence is legendary for its controversial and often provocative nature. However, CleanTechnica's analysis suggests a critical inflection point, where his personal brand of online engagement is now perceived to be directly impacting Tesla's market performance and investor confidence.
The implications for Tesla, a publicly traded company, are significant. A CEO's public conduct, especially one as high-profile as Musk's, can profoundly influence stock prices, consumer perception, and the morale of employees. Distraction from core business strategy, as suggested, is a serious concern for stakeholders.
So, who benefits from Musk's poop flinging and who loses? On one level, Musk himself often seems to thrive on controversy and attention, which reinforces his personal brand as an unfiltered maverick. This could be seen as a form of benefit, keeping him in the public eye, however polarizing the reason.
However, the article strongly implies that Tesla, the corporate entity, is losing. Floundering sales mean lost revenue, potential market share erosion, and a diminished competitive edge in an increasingly crowded EV landscape. Investors, whose fortunes are tied to Tesla's performance, are also clear losers when the CEO's focus is perceived to be elsewhere.
The broader EV movement, which Tesla once singularly led, could also suffer. If the company struggles due to leadership distractions, it might cast a shadow on the entire sector, making it harder for other innovators and for the public to maintain faith in the transition to sustainable transportation.
This story exposes a crucial aspect of modern corporate power, the immense influence and often unchecked behavior of a celebrity CEO. Musk's personal brand has become inextricably linked with Tesla, blurring the lines between individual expression and corporate responsibility, often to the detriment of the latter.
It raises fundamental questions about corporate governance and accountability in the age of social media. Should a board of directors intervene when a CEO's personal online conduct appears to undermine the company's commercial viability? What mechanisms exist to hold such powerful figures accountable?
CleanTechnica's critique isn't just about a CEO's personal habits, it's a commentary on the allocation of a leader's time and energy, and the potential for a cult of personality to overshadow sound business strategy, ultimately impacting corporate health and investor trust. These three stories, seemingly disparate, converge on a powerful, overarching theme: the struggle for truth and accountability against entrenched power structures. From the quiet diplomacy of Steve Durst, to the perilous fight of Lu Hu and Wu Yingjiao, to the very public antics of Elon Musk, we see individuals and corporations battling the forces of control and compromise.
Absolutely, Alex. Steve Durst's decades-long effort to build scientific bridges with China, despite official governmental restrictions, highlights how corporate and scientific imperatives can clash with geopolitical strategies. He represented a truth that collaboration, not just competition, is vital for humanity's progress, even if it runs counter to state policy.
His passing underscores the fragility of these unofficial channels that exist because official, state-controlled avenues are often blocked by national security concerns or corporate rivalries. Durst worked beyond the corporate and governmental apparatus, yet his impact touched global scientific corporations.
Then we have the stark reality faced by Lu Hu and Wu Yingjiao. Their courageous reporting on corruption directly challenged the Communist Party's narrative of integrity and control. The state's response, charges of false accusations and illegal business operations, is a classic mechanism of authoritarian power to silence truth and maintain an illusion of order for the benefit of corrupt officials and the party itself.
This isn't just about individual journalists, it's about the suppression of information critical for any healthy society, and for businesses operating transparently. When the media is muzzled, corporate malfeasance, state corruption, and human rights abuses can flourish unchecked, creating an environment of impunity.
And finally, Elon Musk. CleanTechnica's critique isn't just about his social media use, but about the impact of a CEO's personal brand and distractions on corporate performance. It exposes the tension between a leader's individual freedom of expression and their fiduciary duty to shareholders and the company's mission.
Here, the power structure isn't necessarily governmental, but corporate, the immense, almost unchecked power of a charismatic CEO to potentially jeopardize a multi-billion-dollar enterprise through personal choices. It asks, who truly controls the corporate narrative, and what is the cost when the leader becomes the liability?
What connects these narratives is the continuous, often painful, negotiation between individual agency and systemic power. Whether it's the state dictating who can talk to whom in space, or what journalists can report, or how a CEO should behave, the underlying struggle is for autonomy and truth.
In all three cases, we see the profound implications for corporate conduct, state transparency, and global cooperation. Durst's legacy calls for more open scientific collaboration, challenging nationalistic corporate interests. The Chinese journalist's plight reminds us of the critical need for an unfettered press to hold power, both governmental and corporate, accountable.
And the criticism leveled at Musk serves as a vital reminder that even the most powerful corporate leaders are not above scrutiny, and that their actions have tangible consequences for employees, investors, and the broader society they serve. The fight for truth, transparency, and accountability is truly global.
These stories are more than headlines, they are critical insights into the ongoing struggle for power and truth in our interconnected world. We've seen how geopolitical tensions can stifle scientific progress, how authoritarian regimes suppress vital information, and how corporate leadership faces unprecedented scrutiny.
At Truth Report, our mission is to peel back these layers, to expose the mechanisms of power, and to hold those in authority, whether government or corporate, accountable. The truth, however inconvenient, is the bedrock of a just society.
We urge you, our viewers, to question narratives, to seek out independent sources, and to support the courageous individuals who risk everything to bring transparency to opaque systems. Your vigilance is our greatest ally in this pursuit.
Thank you for joining us tonight on Truth Report. We'll continue to bring you the stories that matter, the truths that often go untold, and the deep analysis that connects the dots. Join us again next week as we continue to investigate the corporate landscape and its broader impact. Good night.